Hi, guys. We have a very special guest today. We have Kay from Lake Erie Dogs. And we're going to talk about a little bit about, she's a mother, I'm a mother, Michelle's a mother. So we wanted to talk a little bit about dogs and motherhood and all of the things involved with that.
There's a lot.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. So glad it worked out.
I've been I used to listen to your podcast while training dogs a lot, and I was like, these people are so cool. And then all the land you have when you're letting the dogs run on the land, I'm like, this is my dream.
I mean, it is a dream come true. The catalyst of that, though, is we don't leave.
Yeah.
So, there's some balance that needs to be happening there, but it's
I don't see the downside to that at all.
Yeah.
I personally am fine with it, but there are times I'm like, wow, it's been 9 days, guys.
Yeah.
We should get out. I just put my son in a nature school class, and I'm like, go, meet people.
Right.
He's loving it.
It's time to expose yourself to the world.
Yeah.
A little bit, definitely.
Oh, man.
So you have a 3-year-old and you have
A 7-month-old.
7-month-old. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. They keep me busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I see some of your posts with them, and is it Griffin?
Griffin,
Yeah.
Griffin and Dorothy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Those are the
cute.
best names.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dorothy is such a cute name.
When he's in his
Daddy.
little boots and he's helping do farm stuff.
It's a dream, man. I mean, he really lives for it. And he is helpful. And with the dogs, we have the board and train program on property, and he's into it.
Yeah.
He started being able to open crates though recently.
Okay.
So that's a new hurdle that we're learning how to navigate.
That could be problematic.
It can,
Yes.
definitely. It's cute, and then it wasn't cute. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to stop doing that.
And he's at that weird age where they can definitely comprehend things, but not consequences very well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
So that could be
Everything's just
difficult.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you work with a lot of aggression?
we don't. So Tom and I said, when we started 8 years ago, that we wanted a family that was really important to us, both. So we stopped taking anything near aggression. We'll have conversations with people have they attempted to bite? Do they, show certain behaviors? And we stopped taking them that long ago because we also board our clients, so we didn't want them coming back even if they went through a training program. So no, we don't take any aggression. We actually recommend them all out to you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You and Krista.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
And I've been doing that for years. And,
Yeah.
and the second something comes up in a conversation, I'm like, okay, well, I don't think we're going to be a good fit for that.
yeah.
We do something very niche, very specific, and you would be helped sooner probably and more appropriately at a facility like Miracle Canine.
Because your kids are around the dogs and you have to be safe.
Right.
Even if you're as safe as you can be, if it's in your house and on your property, you can't be safe enough. It
Right.
takes one time of turning your back for a second.
I know. I mean, and there are still times our kennel, we call it the shop, is connected to our living room.
Oh, wow.
So we're in and out of there in flow all day long, and Griffin's just a part of it. Dorothy's on my back or in a walker. So, and the dogs are mingling within our lives throughout the day. We're all outside together usually. The one place Griffin isn't allowed to go, and Dorothy eventually, is the potty yard.
Okay.
So that has a hard lock on all the doors. But other than that, you turn your back for a second and it can be, we have to be very aware of where dogs are and how we're moving them around and stuff when he's involved.
A lot of planning and management, which is dog training is with kids, at least I think we do management and then we do training. So it's you can do all the training in the world, but if you're not managing things well,
Exactly.
you can have disaster. It's a lot of people miss that step. I know Lumos, you're introducing him to your stepson. That took a lot of effort and crating and training, and you did things very carefully from what you've described.
Yeah, it was because my stepson was about 3 when
Very young.
Yeah, really young when I started dating my now husband. He's 13 now, which is crazy.
That is insane.
It is crazy. And it was a very interesting dynamic because my husband did have 2 dogs at the time, and I had my 2 dogs. And his dogs that he had were just, he was very blessed in that they were extremely friendly and tolerant of children. Like their temperaments were just very balanced. And so it never really occurred to him that like of teaching boundaries.
With dogs,
Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff like that, because the dogs just legitimately never had an issue with anything. And it wasn't even a scenario where I was like, oh, the dogs are uncomfortable and you're just not realizing it. Like genuinely, they were totally fine with him. And but obviously me coming into the picture with my 2 dogs, Cash he had such a good even temperament, but he also wasn't super tolerant and like kids laying on him or pulling on him or things like that. Yeah, he wasn't used to stuff like that. But he wasn't a risk to me. I mean, every dog can bite. If they have teeth, they can bite. But his threshold was very, very high. Like you would have to do a lot to him to cause that behavior. He was very good with warnings. Like he would give a little low growl or, different things. Like he would get up and walk away. Like he would do all of the right things that you would want a dog to do when you're trying to teach a child how to interact with a dog. I always tell my clients that if your child is new to dogs, you need a dog that is not new to children.
Yeah.
Because one of them needs to be well versed in how the other one works. If you have a new dog, a dog that is new to children and a child that is new to dogs, it can be very difficult to create those boundaries because neither of them are experienced in how the other one works.
Yeah.
So I was lucky with Cash that he had some of that under his belt already, just from like family members, children, and also he was a therapy dog, so he did a lot of like children's programs and things like that.
That's nice.
Yeah, and then, but Lumos, on the other hand, my Dutch Shepherd, he's a totally different beast in that his tolerance for everything is just very low.
Yeah.
He has people he likes, and once you're in like his circle, you're golden. But if you're not in his selected few people, he's like, I don't want
He's very suspicious.
Yeah, very suspicious, but he's not nervous. He's just a very confident, forward dog. And so he has very clear boundaries. And children are not great with boundaries.
No.
So that was a case where it wasn't, and to clarify, my stepson was never overtly like mistreating the dogs in any way. Like he wasn't like a bratty little kid that's like throwing things at them or doing stuff like that. He was just more so, oh, like I'm gonna lay on the dog or
Like a normal kid style.
yeah, kind of get in their face and bother them, but like nothing overtly rude or crazy or anything. But noting all of those things, I was like, I obviously don't want to be in a position where something happens to him, or then I have to make decisions about my dog, you know, for this to work. And so in the beginning, it was a lot of, and I was fortunate in the fact that we did have my stepson half of the time. And so there was a little bit of a reprieve where Lumos could be out and do things and stuff like that. And when we did have my stepson, it was either he was created in a secure area where I wasn't worried about my stepson being able to get in there or anything. And I also had him muzzled anytime he wasn't in his crate.
Yeah.
And I would make sure that I was including Lumos in activities that I knew that didn't create a lot of social pressure. So like if we're just all hanging out in the living room and my stepson is, you know, doing what 3-year-olds do, running around and screaming and making noise and having fun, my dog doesn't need to be there.
No.
Yeah.
You know, he can be in his kennel and he can be relaxing somewhere else.
Right.
And I would make sure that I would give him fulfillment in other ways. You know, I'd take him on his walks, we'd go play, we'd do training, we'd do all the kind of stuff he needed done, and then he would just hang out in there for the night. But if we were going on a family walk or we were going on a hike or, you know, we were doing something that was an activity that my stepson would be otherwise preoccupied doing something and then Lumos could join again in a safe way, I would always make sure to do that because I didn't want them living completely separate. I wanted some exposure, you know, but I wanted to do it in a way that was going to be the best recipe for success.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did that for a long time. And I really, and I sought out a lot of advice from people, because at this point I had been training, I had been training dogs for maybe almost 2 years when my stepson came into my life. And so I was still pretty new as a dog trainer. It was a baby dog trainer. And so I was trying to figure out, like, how do I fix it? How do I fix it? How do I fix it? Like, how do I make my dog fine with kids?
Yeah.
You know, that
And
type of thing.
A lot of mentality from clients even, or people on the internet.
And I mean, to clarify, my dog was not sees a child immediately wants to, like.
He wasn't a danger, just like.
No, just
but
existing.
He could be if unmanaged and left unsupervised.
100%. And so what eventually a lot of, people that I spoke to, the best advice that I ever got was from somebody who told me, he's like, why do you so desperately need them to like each other?
Yeah. They need to build a relationship.
Yeah, they
of
need
their
to
own.
just exist.
Yeah.
They need to just exist. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to force
It
interactions.
doesn't have to look a certain way either.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was really, I think, almost, it gave me permission to, like, not need to make it perfect and create this harmony between the two of them, like, right away. And so obviously there was a lot of progression and steps, like, over the last 10 years. But now, like, they're buddies.
Chill.
They get along fine.
They grew up together.
I'm not concerned about it at all.
Yeah. And he knows how to respectfully, like, handle dogs and be
Cohabitate
around
with them.
dogs.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that was, I think the hardest part was when my stepson was young, because of how he had previously interacted with dogs, he didn't have the restraint of, like, we just ignore a dog.
Yeah.
So I had to work on that independently
Yeah.
with him, of being like, we don't touch dogs we don't know, we don't get in dogs' faces, we don't hug dogs, we don't, all these X, Y, and Z. And thankfully my husband was, like, very supportive of all of that. And then conversely, making sure that my dog also knew that, like, you have to respect this small being as much as you would respect me.
Yeah.
Which was a tall feat to ask
Yeah.
of him. But that's eventually kind of how we navigated it.
Yeah.
And like I said, now at this point, like, sometimes I feel like Lumos wants to hang out with my stepson more than he does me at this point.
Yeah.
It's very cute, the
That's
relationship.
beautiful
Yeah.
to see.
And it's cute because my stepson, he's like, he just likes me so much.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it almost feels more more special to him too. I think anyone who knows Lumos and has gotten
You have to
them,
earn.
like, you're like,
Yeah.
he likes
You're an
me.
honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, like, this didn't come easy.
Yeah.
And so I think he almost kind of enjoys that aspect of
That's
it.
cool.
Yeah.
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 I think it, like, going back to the point, like, people forget management a lot of the time, and like what you did, and a lot of the times we'll see furniture sharing, or like the dog on the ground with the kid crawling on the dog, and that first interaction goes okay, so people are like, okay, they're in, like, the rest of time, and then you turn your back for a second to get something, and the dog's just not having it that day, and a bite happens, which is so common. A lot of children get bit by dogs and end up in the hospital.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And
The
then
out of nowhere thing.
yeah. And then, like, sometimes we'll go to clients' homes and we'll kind of witness how they live with their children and their dogs, and instantly see, like, all right, we need to manage both sides. And they're like, no, the dog has to be perfect and fit in with the kid. And to some degree, like,
It's a balancing act.
Kids need to be able to, like, run around and jump on the couch because that's what kids do.
Right.
But at the same time, like, the kid can't go be torturing the dog and pulling at the dog, but the dog just needs to live in the child's space, and the child needs to learn to live in the dog's space.
Yep. Very true. And those are not easy conversations to have with adults about their children, especially when you come into the home and see it and you're like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
You have to, navigate this a little differently. And it's delicate to have that conversation, but it's worth having because it can make a huge difference. And educating someone, like, this is making that dog uncomfortable, and I know you don't see it that way, but we have to, talk to our kids and have this conversation so that they know, so it doesn't go south. Because a lot of our clients don't have those risks, right? Like they don't think about their dogs that way.
Yeah.
Because they're just happy-go-lucky. We train off-leash family dogs is what I say. But we are still very, mindful in the fact that things can happen and things, can go south quickly, and you may not see it that way, but you got to think about it that way, because at the end of the day, they're all animals.
Yes.
They're not
And I
fluffy
think-
teddy bears.
Yeah, and I think even in your case too, with the temperaments of dogs that you're working with, sometimes people take advantage of the temperament.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have a dog,
It's
so
hard
like
to
my
watch.
dog Cash, for instance, who had a very balanced temperament with children. I didn't allow the kids to just beat up on him all the time just because he would take it.
Right.
And that's not fair for them either. It's
No.
like, sure, if you have a dog who has a very high tolerance, and they're, the likelihood of them biting or snapping your kids is very low, that doesn't mean that your kids still shouldn't learn good boundaries
Right.
with dogs.
It's a very important life lesson that you should really consider that you can do in your home every day.
Respect to animals as
Yep.
well. Like, I can't stand seeing videos of like kids pulling on dogs or grabbing their face or hurting dogs.
Yeah.
Laying on them, laying their heads on them. I'm just,
Yes.
I know it. Well, and also like what I explained to my husband too about my stepson is I was like, yes, like your dogs are not a danger to him, but he's going to go to friends' houses.
Exactly.
He's going to be around other people's dogs, and if he treats those dogs the way he's treating these dogs, they may respond very differently to it.
Yeah.
And so when I bring that point up to parents, a lot of them have never thought about it that way.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That like how I teach my children to treat our dog is what they're going to generalize to like all other dogs. And so you have to make sure that you're taking into account best practice.
Right.
No hugs, no faces and faces. And typically I feel like and don't bother them if they have bones, toys, food.
Right.
If you do those three things, the
huge.
level of dog bites on children is going to
way down.
drastically drop.
Way down. They're very
Anytime-
simple rules. To
Yeah,
just
anytime
uphold.
kids get bit on the face, I'm like, why was their face
Yeah.
That
so
close
close
to their
to the dog's face?
Yeah. Especially like
We
in
should
the
have stopped
90s.
there.
Yes.
Like my brother got a huge bite on his face because he was attempting to eat the dog's food while the dog was eating the dog's food. And it was like a
Bless
little
him.
schnauzer thing.
And just got him.
Oh
Like,
my
Yeah.
nope, that's
God.
mine.
That's so
And I got bit because we had I don't know what breed it was. Long years. My brain.
Lapso.
Cocker Spaniel.
Yes, a Cocker
Oh.
Spaniel.
Cocker Spaniels
job.
hate kids.
Yeah.
Listen, if there's
Not a
one
good
dog
one.
breed
Not a
that
good
I
one.
feel like I can genuinely
Yeah.
say is born with a distaste for children, I think it's a
Yeah,
spaniel.
and she was old, and I was like, I want to crawl under the table with her because this will be a cool little fort. And she got me real good. And like, I hated spaniels for years until I started working with like well-trained ones.
Yeah.
And then we have like Aussie Goose and like Ruger, and I love those dogs.
Yeah.
So
A well-trained dog will change everything for
yes, yeah. Another thing I was seeing all over TikTok, that I wanted to discuss was a lot of women are like, you hate your dog after your child is born, and they're like, just warning you, you're gonna hate your dog. And like how I avoided that with training. And I don't hate my dogs at all. I had my son like 2 months ago at this point, and it was definitely an adjustment to have him in the house full time and feed him and have the dogs around him. But we have a really good routine.
That's awesome.
And I love my dogs like just the same as I did before, and they're not a nuisance to me. So I just wanted to kind of discuss like what goes wrong with people and dogs. Why do women get so overwhelmed?
Overstimulated.
Yes. And it's hard. It's already like your body's been through a lot. You carried a child or you're around a child. And then the dog wants your attention too. And I think it is
Yeah.
overstimulating.
I will say, God rest her soul, Sasha, in my relationship changed dramatically when I had Griffin. I didn't not like her, and I didn't, hold any resentment towards her, because I do see that people feel that way, and I did not feel that way. But I will say our relationship had to change because she was my soul dog, and
Yes.
we had one of those deep, rooted connections, always, around each other and did everything together. But she had to, take a step down as far as priorities came. And I had to surrender to that.
Yeah.
You know, I had to let a lot of guilt go, and a lot of like the things that I would do with her and for her for a long time while Griffin was a newborn. Now, when Griffin was, you know, mobile and we could do more things, that changed. But there was a period of time where I can see where people are coming from with that.
Yeah.
Especially with like the stress of breastfeeding, you know, getting into a new routine, going back to work. The dogs kind of, you know, took this is less of my priority right now. So I can see where people are coming from when they say that they feel that way. But again, a trained dog will change everything,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I was able to, you know, navigate the dogs around. At the time we had 3 when Birdie was a puppy. And don't get a puppy when you have a baby. That was a terrible, why did we do that?
Yeah.
I think people do it because they're
Why
like,
did
it'll
we
be
do
so
that?
cute when they grow up together.
They aren't close. Like, they don't have that. She's a German short-haired pointer, so like she's not typically close with anybody.
I was
really.
gonna say,
like
they don't really
she's
bond much with people.
she's like about life.
Yeah. Ball.
She's full of life.
Drive.
She's 3 now, so she's getting there. Like, she's cuddly and whatnot, but no, that is not what happened. Don't get a puppy when you have a newborn. Just don't. But like I said, trained dogs really do make that process so much different. And, you know, the overstimulation is cut in. I can't imagine Sasha without training and having a baby. I can't even fathom it.
Yeah.
Because she would just be separate. Like, I would just have to cut her out at that point. But, you know, a bed stay, a down stay, a solid recall from room to room, you know, being able to settle when things are chaotic, and like having that skill is detrimental to like the energy in your home, especially while you're trying to heal, you're trying to like find, and as your kids grow, they're going to go through all different, like he's 3 years old and running around and screaming, like you said. And I can have dogs in my home once they get to a certain point in training, because they have that like, we're going to coexist, we're going to ignore, we're going to just be neutral to the chaos. So, I mean, if you don't have that and it's adding to the chaos, like,
It's
God
really
bless
hard.
you. God bless you.
And you're balancing so many things, and the dog's like, I haven't been out today. We haven't gone on our walk. We haven't done this. And we have to also be empathetic that their entire world is changing
Completely,
too.
yeah.
Like, even during the pregnancy, like, I wasn't able to do things that I normally did with my dogs.
Yeah.
And that made me feel really, really guilty about, like,
The guilt
their life.
is, like, mom guilt's real. And
Yeah.
that definitely.
Hi, David.
Hey.
I came for 2 things. I came, 1, to see if you brought your man with you or not,
You did not.
which you did, I see. And then 2, I was just curious what the side was going to be. Let's go.
It's awesome.
Wow, we got David's stamp of approval, everyone.
Yeah.
Good for us.
He knows a lot about children, and, like,
He really wanted to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
I was like, he's not going to leave until we acknowledge him.
Yeah.
He was just
like,
standing there like
"Hey."
this. Oh my gosh.
But I think, like, following that guilt of not doing things,
Yeah.
and then my son was in the hospital for a while, so we had time to focus on the dogs and get them in a good routine, which
Yeah.
was, like, honestly a saving grace.
Yeah.
And then during my pregnancy, I just did, like, bed stays, refreshed everybody, because I have Chihuahuas, so
I was going to ask, how many dogs do you have?
I have 6.
You have 6
or 5.
dogs.
Toonie died. R.I.P. Toonie.
We think you're still here.
Yeah.
I know.
Her
I
spirit.
I
still-
talk about Sasha like she's still
Yeah,
there, so it's okay.
I still call the
Cash
dogs
is gone now, and I
outside.
talk about him like he
Yeah.
was still there too.
I'm like,
so.
Toonie, Minnow, Pip, let's go outside. I'm like, wait, Toonie's gone. So, no, wait, I have 5 dogs then.
One day you're gonna call for her and she'll just reappear.
Yeah, she will.
Knowing Toonie,
never
she
left.
will.
Yeah.
She will.
But we have a really good routine now. Like, my most energetic dog is Spork, and I just pop him on the treadmill. And he does like an hour, and
He's
we have
like
a little
the
baby monitor.
long-legged one?
Yes, the
Yeah.
really weird
Yeah,
one.
he looks a little.
He's not children safe.
At least you know and you accept it.
Yeah.
That's the
Birdie-
thing.
yeah.
You cannot be in denial.
Yes,
I
and
think people, not to butt in, but going off of that point, I always remind clients, your dog will not automatically love your child the way that you will.
Yeah.
Like they have no emotional investment in that
They're
thing.
like, what
that
is this
came out of
thing?
you. They don't care at all. So
Yeah.
I think people really let their guard down and being like, obviously, like we're so happy and so full of love with this addition to our family. Your dog does not feel that way.
No,
They're not
that was a
gonna feel
rude
that way.
awakening
Yeah.
too. I don't know what I expected, but none of our dogs were like, this kid's like, this wasn't it.
Yeah.
They're like, this is not it. Like, I'd rather be over there.
Yes.
Why is he loud?
It's like a fairy tale that you think everybody's going to blend together.
Yeah.
And like every mom, like I'm a dog trainer. I'm new at being a mom. So I've had like 2 incidences already that have been like not perfect. And
Right.
one of them was I was transferring Spork from outside to his crate and the baby was in a swing and Spork had never seen the swing. And I was like, Spork, let's go to the crate. Jumps right on top of the baby into
In the swing with the baby.
in the swing with the baby. And I'm like, holy crap.
Oh God. Oh no.
And then Pip, my female chihuahua, she's very conscious like
Yeah.
of the baby. She's like wants to step around the baby, doesn't want to like be on the baby. And then my senior dog Nelson just jumps on the baby's like back and he's just like making a nest on the baby with blankets.
This is soft.
He's like, wow, this is nice and warm. And those are the 2 incidents. I
Got
was
me a
like,
heated blanket.
okay. It's trial and error. Like you're not going to be perfect,
Yeah.
even as a dog trainer. So we definitely had to do some managing around.
Yeah.
Okay, we're cutting off all couch access now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. Tom is way more strict than I was going into it. I think he knew, he's worked with aggressive dogs way more than I have ever experienced. So he went into it really strict. So all of our dogs, before Griffin was born, like lost access to beds and couches. We were doing bed stays, playing the YouTubes of babies crying. We ended up setting up all the things that we were going to use, and I think that's one thing that people don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
Like set up the crib, set up the
Yes.
the swing, the stroll, go for a walk with the stroller. Like if whatever you want your lifestyle to look like, if you can do it before the baby comes, because you're not gonna have time once the baby's there. So yeah, we did set them up for success. They did great, the dogs that we had when we had them, but they just couldn't care less about Griffin, and that was ideal.
That is
you know what I
good.
mean? They didn't show any signs of like added stress, and they were just chill about it. So that was really nice. Birdie, she's just Birdie about everything. So she was the only dog that we've had like from Griffin to Dorothy. So she's a special little character.
Yeah.
They live in their own little world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't understand that the world is existing around them.
Yeah.
They are their own world.
Yeah, like she does genuinely well. Like I don't think she would jump on them if they were on the bed or something, but she'll still like almost knock Griffin over
Yeah.
walking around
Yeah.
walking around the house.
Just existing.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a work in progress.
I'm really glad that I never hated my dogs because they are my soul dogs too.
Right.
Like I love them, and I was like,
Were
when
you
I was
worried about
pregnant-
that going into that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge shift in like hormones and
Yeah.
this little human I have to take care of now, like what do I? But if you
Yes.
have, good protocols, good training, and you have an understanding between your dog, your relationship isn't already muddy and messy,
Yeah.
then it can be beautiful and it can really blossom into a great thing.
Yes.
But if you go into it with chaos, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna get worse.
Well, and I would imagine there's like this primal thing that happens where like I think the reason a lot of women hate their dogs after
Yeah.
they have a baby is because
hormones.
the dog's behavior is like a threat
Exactly.
to the
Yes.
safety and
Yeah.
the peace and
Yes.
the
And
calmness
that's so natural.
is
of
so
their
true.
baby. And
Yep.
so it's like you have this baby and like the baby's finally sleeping and your dog's barking out the window. You know what I mean? And so yeah, you're going to hate your dog because you're like you are disrupting like
The peace
the peace
that I
and
just
the calmness and
created.
the safety that I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
created for the baby. And now the baby's crying and then so you're at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And so like you said, I feel like if people are able to create a harmonious relationship with their dog, their
Yes.
lifestyle prior to the baby, you're
Yeah.
going to have a way where they're involved in creating the peace
Yes.
and the harmony and
the
that.
cozy vibes.
Exactly.
Definitely. I mean, it's a great investment, time and financially, if
Yeah.
you can get into it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. And how you mentioned like adjusting your lifestyle beforehand. Something I do with my clients where I've had a number of clients where mid-sessions they'll be like, oh, and now we're pregnant, we're gonna have a baby in 9 months, whatever. And it's so funny because I feel like in my 12 years of dog training, I have been honored to be so many people's first person they tell that they're having a baby, because it's like so early, but they're like, we want to know everything and prepare, and they're like, but don't tell anyone because no one knows.
Yeah, the moment you find
that's happened to me a couple of times. I'm like,
I know. I'm
Yeah.
like,
well,
this is exciting. But that's a piece that I always give to them is like, I want you to envision, and if it's their first baby, they may not always know, but like what you think your life will look like, what you want your routine to look like, and what does your dog do now that you're going to find really annoying then?
Right.
Is it jumping on the couch crazy?
Yes.
Is it barking out the window at things?
Yeah.
Is it sleeping in bed with you? Is it like, what are the things that you think you want to shift lifestyle wise? And like you said, do it now.
Right.
Don't wait until the baby's here and now the dog's whole routine is changing, the baby's around, and it's just like a whole conglomeration of added stress.
And they're not
issues.
the center of attention anymore, which my dogs were used to being. And then describing how you feel, I didn't hate my dogs at all, but the love for a human versus the love for a dog is completely different.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be like that. I'd be like, well, I love my dog just as much as my son, and now my son came to the world.
It was a huge, and
I'm like,
I didn't think I could love more than the
know.
way that I love Sasha. I didn't meet Tom till Sasha was 3. She was my baby. I was the epitome of dog mom, the disgusting things I see now where I'm like, but Tom opened my world, and we fixed all that. Sasha went through a board and train with Tom before I moved in. So we got that handled. But like I said, I didn't think I could love, like you said, more or a different kind of love, and it really, really was. It hit me
and it needs to be.
It has to be, right.
And that's what's
people
so,
compare dogs and kids all the time.
It's
It's
not.
not. There are
similarities.
some things that, especially with raising a toddler, there are a lot of things where I'm like, this makes so much sense of why we're doing well behaviorally as dog trainers and parents, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same game.
And it can't be. And I think it's scary these days how much pressure there is put on parents to make it the same. And that's what I think causes so many issues is because, we've talked a lot about making sure kids respect dogs. I think there's a lot to be said for people not disciplining their dogs correctly when it comes to their children.
yes.
And I think back to when I was growing up, we had 2 dogs, and people not prioritizing the safety of their children. So when we were growing up, we had a German Shepherd, and fantastic dog. And there's pictures of me holding on to her as I'm learning to walk. She was just I have memories of her, and I was 3-4 years old, cool. She was such a cool pivotal part of our growing up together. But I do my mom had told me, and this was before I was even born, my older brother, Jesse, she was eating her food or something like that. And my older brother, he knew not to mess with her when she was eating or anything like that, so he wasn't doing anything wrong. All he did was simply walk behind her while she was eating, and she growled at him.
Yeah.
And my dad handled that situation, and it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
And boundaries were put in place. And so I think that there is something to be said, too, for there needs to be a balance of if the children and the dogs are existing around each other but not directly interacting, there needs to be mutual respect.
Yes.
And I think in that moment, my dad saw something in the dog where he was like, oh, no. You would never do that to me.
Right.
You would never do that to my wife, and you're not going to do that to the child.
I think that's a huge point is you have to be the advocate. You have to be the person that sets the tone for the kids.
Yes.
Because in that situation, your brother's not going to be like, no, don't growl at me.
Exactly.
Your dad had to step in and set that expectation and be very clear in the moment. And I think a lot of people see those things happen and oh, no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And we need to stop.
Yes.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, there's so many clients that I've talked to where in moments like that, they're parental instincts come out, and then they almost will speak to me and be like, feel like, should I feel guilty? Like, should I have done that? Should I feel
There's
guilty?
so many feelings.
And I'm like, you did exactly what your instincts as a parent told you to do. You did the right thing. Your child is the most important thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The dog, yes, we love our dogs. I would do anything for my dogs. Would I do as much for my dogs as I would do for my stepson? No. And it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, the child has to take priority.
Yes.
And I know we've had some clients in the past that we've discussed where they've almost tried to restrict their children from being children because it triggers the dog.
Yeah.
And we have had to talk to them and be like, no, like your child running and jumping onto the couch and, you know, yelling out of excitement or jumping on you to give you a hug, and then the dog running after them and nipping at them, that is not the child's fault.
No.
And we don't tell the children, oh, well, you got to be calm around the dog
Yeah.
and you can't do this.
That's never going to happen.
That's never going
Right.
to happen. And it's unfair to the kid. You're creating an environment where the kid wants to
Has
be...
to tiptoe.
Yeah, has to tiptoe and feel stressed, like in their own household, and
Yeah.
that's not. So I think there absolutely has to be a discussion around people babying their dogs too much,
Feeling
and
guilty.
and feeling
guilty about putting restrictions or putting the time in to train around these things.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of, you know, there's effort that goes into training your dog around your kids.
Yes.
And like these real life things are going to happen. We have to spend time exposing the dog and showing the dog, you know, this is how I want you to act when the kids run in from school and things like that. That's effort on your part that you have to put in, and I can't do that, you know, in my board and train, right? You have to, you know, use what I taught them and do that in real life situations. And it's, you know, you can't feel bad about showing them how to act. You're giving them more access to your life by being, you know, strict on X, Y, and Z. Right? They don't have to be in crate when the kids come home from school at 3:45. They can be out if we show them how to act.
Yes.
And it's just, again, a very good conversation to have.
Yeah, or people are worried about creating a negative association. Like if your dog is getting corrected for doing something.
Yeah.
Like even my husband is not, like he's around a dog trainer. We have dogs, but Sport jumped up on the couch and I gave him a correction. And Justin was like, no, you're going to create a negative association between him and the baby. And I was like, I'm the dog trainer here.
You're so fair. You're so fair in feeling that way, but let's talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he did something incorrectly, and I have to set a boundary that he's not just allowed to jump up when I'm holding the baby. That's not going to fly.
Right.
And he never did it again after his swing incident and then jumping up on the couch with me. So we're setting that like hard boundary, and now he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I get
thinking
it.
twice. That's all I need you to do.
Yes.
I need you to think about it.
And your dog's capable of it. Like dogs are capable of learning and
Complex
adjusting and
beings.
growing with your family.
Amen.
You just have to do it in a way that is safe for everybody and
Yeah.
like saves your sanity.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who struggle with like, should we get rid of the dog, or, you know, they are capable of change. You have to be just as dedicated to that change as that you want to see, and it is very possible.
Yes.
There's hope.
Yeah, yeah. But we don't want to see like, also talking about managing children, we don't want to see the child on a dog's bed stay. We don't want to see a child crawling in the dog's crate. Things like that. We have to like, some people will be like, well, what do I do? The 3-year-old, like I can't control them. Like they just,
Course
Please be
correction.
a parent.
Yes.
Please be
Correction.
a parent. There's so many times where I'm just dumbfounded
Yeah.
that people act like they are victims to their child's behavior. And I'm like, be a parent.
Gentle parenting is very,
Yeah.
very real in today's
Yes.
society. So we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About how we go about things, but it's for, you know, I don't care what you do about with your, you know, and like punishment sense and all of that, but when it comes to safety with an animal in your home, there are some like hard guidelines that we have to set, and you may not like talk to your kid that way or have that kind of relationship, but you really have to in this situation, or you shouldn't have a dog and a kid.
Yeah.
Because we can't control everything that happens.
Yeah.
So we have to like teach some boundaries here. life lessons, man.
Yeah.
Life lessons for everybody.
And it's very sad to see like the news headlines of dogs mauling children
Every
to
day.
death, and that just happened
It's
with
so often.
I
Yeah.
just saw one and I'm like,
yeah.
no.
And there's
Yeah.
like videos of it, and they're like, the dogs never did this before, and just like you can't even leave your kids alone with a dog for a second.
Yeah,
and you
I would
shouldn't.
never.
Yeah.
I would never. Like, it's even so, and even to this day, like with my stepson being 13, and you know, he's very independent. You know, he'll stay home by himself. He'll get himself off to school. He'll, you know, all of those different things. If I leave the house and my husband isn't home, my dogs are kenneled.
Amen.
They are not out with my
He's
stepson.
still a child.
He is still a child. And I would never, and this was something that, you know, my own mother would do. Like, my brother's almost 5 years older than me. And I distinctly remember she never, ever, ever put him in charge of me. And she has always said, she's like, that is, one, that is not his job. And two, if something were to happen to you, God forbid, that is something he would have to live with for the rest of his life. And that's not fair for him. And so with Owen, I think about, I would never want to put him in a position where something happens with the dogs and he was the one in charge.
Right.
Yes.
You know, like, you're 13.
Can't be in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
that's
in
not
charge.
like
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
yes, there are certain things that at that age you need to be responsible for. You need to take consequences of if it doesn't go right, or you know, you don't do the correct thing.
Yeah.
Safety, that's not it.
No.
That's not one of those things right
Yeah.
now.
Like untrained dogs also like shouldn't be walked by children. Like when you were saying
Yeah.
everything, I remember walking my aunt's dog, and she saw another dog and pulled me down, and she got away, and my aunt was so mad at me for the dog getting away. And
Why'd
I was
you let
just,
that happen?
Yeah.
Come on.
I was like,
Grow up.
sobbing. I was like 8 years old, and I was like, I ruined everything.
Oh, see, jeez.
And we got her back, but like I remember distinctly that is like a trauma memory that I
Yes.
have of the dog getting away from me.
That's why you're a dog trainer now.
Yeah, yeah. So
You're making amends.
you see like these kids like walking these dogs, and the dogs are just like pulling them, and you're like, oh God, please. Like it's
Yeah.
one thing if it's a trained dog and you work with a child that's old enough to understand
Yeah.
like how to
Well, and if
utilize
you
the
were
training.
there.
Yeah.
Like, Owen always wanted to walk the dogs and stuff when we would go. We walk all the time together as a family and hike and stuff. And I would give him Cash. And Cash was just like, he was like a push button horse. You know what I mean? Like, you could give him to anyone and they didn't know what they were doing. And he was like, I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Just walk. Like, he was just that kind of dog. And so I have these adorable videos of, you know, 4-year-old Owen holding his leash, toddling down
you're
the
right there,
sidewalk.
yeah.
But I'm right behind him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like,
And that's a trained dog.
It's
That's
a trained dog. You know, I
knows
know
what
that
it's
that is
doing.
not a dog who has reactivity issues.
Right.
That's going to have any problem with anything. You
Right.
know, but I regularly will get clients where at the beginning of sessions, one of their goals is that they're like, I want my kids to be able to walk the dog around the neighborhood. And right off the bat, I have to tell them, like, I get your intention behind that, but like, that is not something I would ever do, regardless of how well trained the dog is send your 9-year-old child
No.
with your dog around the neighborhood. I'm like, because it's also outside factors. Like, there was an incident where I wasn't even there, but my husband and my stepson were walking the dogs, and they got charged by an off-leash dog.
Yeah.
What if my stepson had been there alone? You know,
Yeah.
you just can't account for all of the different variables that could happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, even if they're with the dog by themselves, like, you can't take all of that, and you can't expect a child to know what to do
Right.
in those situations.
It's very dangerous, like to get in the middle of a fight too, because off-leash
Yeah.
dogs are so prominent. So that would make me super nervous.
Yeah.
But like, sure, you can include the kids, and like, I would have my stepson like incorporated in a lot of things with the dogs as he was learning, because it was a healthy way for
Yeah.
him to interact with the dogs. Like, the kids are going to want to interact with the dogs, and so if you curate it in a way where it's structured and you're guiding the interaction,
Yeah.
it's so much better than them doing, you know, on their own, which is so similar to a dog, by the way. I'm realizing.
You can't do a
As
don't.
I'm
Yeah.
speaking, I'm like, wow, this is like how high drive dogs are. But
Right.
anyways,
We'll show them what to do, not do
Yeah,
what
you
they can't.
curate, like, you know, if you have, like, my German Shepherd, for instance, like, she is very even and balanced and cool, but, like, it's because I channel all of her German Shepherdness
that
into,
her?
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Into those behaviors, you know? And then when she can hang out, she just knows to hang out. You know, it's context. And so I think with kids, it was very similar. Like, Owen would help me with getting their food ready, and he would play with the dogs in an appropriate way. Like, I remember prior to him and Lumos even having a relationship where they could touch, Owen was playing fetch with him. And again, that was such an important part of having a trained dog. Do you think I could have let an
No.
untrained Dutch Shepherd play fetch with a 4-year-old?
No.
No. No, but Lumos figured out, and obviously I showed him. He would bring his toy, he would spit it out for Owen, and then I taught him to back up and
Nice.
create space.
Yeah.
And he'd back up, and he'd be about 10, 15 feet away, and Owen would pick up the toy, and he'd throw it,
Yeah.
and he'd go get it, and he'd bring it back. And so it built this relationship of, like, this little thing ain't so bad.
Right. This was like a nice, perfect
Yeah.
interaction. Griffin just started
Yes.
showing interest in toys with the dogs, like,
Yeah.
'cause Tom plays tug a lot. So we're doing that with Birdie right now. That exact thing, like drop it and back up,
Yes.
and then wait for him to throw it, kind
Yes.
of thing. So it's really cool that they get to have that.
Yes.
I think.
And going back to not being afraid to discipline your dog, you better believe the first time that Lumos even so much as went toward to snatch the toy too early,
Yeah.
he got quite the correction for it.
Right.
And he learned his lesson.
Yeah.
And so he's like, little thing, I give you your space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stay over there, I go over here, you throw toy,
Yeah.
I get it. And so that's the only way you can have that harmony, though, is again if you're
That,
able
like,
to
healthy
communicate
interaction.
with both entities and make sure that they're both going to follow the same structure.
No, that's really nice. That you get to have that with a trained dog.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
running theme here, guys. Sorry. That
Yeah.
you won't hate your dog
Yeah.
if you train it before you have a child.
Yeah, it just makes everything easier.
Yes, and having like multiple dogs too, like you have to have everything super structured.
Yeah.
And like I remember like my non-dog friends would be like, "So which dogs are you going to give away now that you're pregnant?" And I'd be like, "None of them." And they'd be like, "Why? You're going to keep all of those dogs?" I'm like, I would never give any of my dogs away unless there was a safety issue and I had to put my child first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because none of my dogs are aggressive. They're weird, but they're not aggressive.
Yeah.
Slightly mentally ill in
Yes.
some capacity.
That's the dogs
Looking
I'm
at you,
drawn
Sword.
to.
That's why we want them, though.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. And even like I like to think, you know, again, my situation was somewhat unique, but I like to think that even with a dog who has some aggressive tendencies, if you really want to make it work, you can make it work.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to be so dedicated and strict.
Yeah.
And I will not lie to you. I mean, just Lumos, living with a dog like Lumos in general, it's an entirely, I don't think I'll realize how stressful it is until he's gone.
Yeah.
He's still here. You know what I mean? So it's like but that is a whole different lifestyle. And I think that I completely respect if parents decide that lifestyle is not
It
what
is
they want to
stressful.
do.
Yeah, it's
And
just something that's always there.
yes,
It's
you
running.
always have to be thinking of it.
Yeah.
You know, like because you think about with having children, not only is it that child, it's they want friends to come over.
Yep.
They want, you know, and that is such a
Normal
big
things.
responsibility of having other people's children in your home with a dog like that. And so that is another aspect to this where when we're dealing with aggressive dogs in any capacity, but especially when children are around, I am completely supportive and understanding of any direction an adult wants to go with that.
Yeah.
If you have a dog who has those aggressive tendencies, you don't have to keep that dog in your home with your children.
Yeah, especially if you go to the extent of getting it trained and like trying, you know, and then you go through that and you're like, I'm still not comfortable.
Yeah.
You just gave that dog a whole big opportunity though, right? Like you can't feel that much guilt. You tried.
Yes.
And this dog's going to go into its next situation completely successful because it has these skills, hopefully.
Yes.
You know, there's been a few instances where a dog has gone through our board and train program and we've rehomed for them. And I think that I have the most respect for those people because this is just, in one of the instances, she just didn't have the nervous system for it.
Yeah.
And I get that. Like, I
Definitely.
100% get that.
Yeah.
So I don't have the nervous system to work with aggressive dogs. That's another reason why we don't do it. I'm just not that person. And it is a huge like line of respect for people who can make that decision and, you know, follow through with it. But you did the best thing you could.
There's so much shame like on mothers about like parenting and dog parenting and why couldn't you make both work? You know, just because you had a kid doesn't mean the dog gets neglected. And sometimes, like you have to make the best decision for your family. And the child comes first. And it's sad, but we need to stop shaming people's choices when they go about it correctly and responsibly.
Yeah, I have actually, I'm pretty open on Facebook when people are rehoming of speaking, you know, the truth. Like, obviously we don't have the whole picture in that post, but like, let's not sit here and shame her because she's trying to rehome her dog. There are many avenues that we can take. And if you want to spend, you know, 20 minutes keyboard worrying at this woman, why don't you pay for her to get a board and train then? You know what I mean? Like,
or take
put
the
your money where
dog.
your mouth is. Or take the dog, if you're so upset about it. So, I mean, there's a lot of instances and there's a lot of shame put around rehoming dogs because it does happen every single day. And, you know, we can support those people in making good decisions.
Yes. Or like dogs that are not safe to be alive anymore. And ultimately, we have to have the conversation of behavior euthanasia. That's a very touchy subject on the internet. Like I watched a TikTok and the dog bit the baby and it was an older dog. And she was like explaining, she's like, this will be the dog's last day because we are going to euthanize it. And people are like, why didn't you just rehome it? It's like you're rehoming a dog with a bite history.
And a senior.
Yeah, and that's not fair.
Yeah.
No.
Like I'd rather give you the best life and then if I have to let you go, that's okay. Like I have to do everything responsibly and I can try, but at some point my family and my child comes first.
Make that choice.
Because it's a good point to bring up that there are dogs that
Can't be rehomed.
that just can't be rehomed and it would be unsafe to be rehomed. And you're never going to have somebody love your dog as much as you love them. And if your dog is even in a home where you feel so much love for them, that difficult to manage and have, imagine going into a home where they don't have the emotional backing
to deal with the things that they're
it.
dealing
You know,
with.
like you're putting up with a lot because you love the dog. They won't love the dog.
And those things are going to happen.
Exactly. And you have to think about the ethics behind it. Like there's some dogs that are in a house with children. Maybe they're in a house with children that have some type of like behavioral issue or disability and the dog is just really struggling with that, but maybe they would be fine somewhere else. That is a definite rehoming situation, you know, but like in the instance of a dog like that where it's somewhat of an unprovoked bite or, you know, a situation where it's like, ooh, that wasn't really like the kid and the dog are at disharmony. It's
that's
like
just not wired right.
Yeah, that's just a strange reaction. That is not a safe dog to be rehomed. You know, a dog
and you have to be fair to the people that you're presenting this dog to.
Yes.
You have to be honest. And if, you know, the things are so scary that you're being honest about, then behavioral euthanasia is definitely an option to consider.
Unfortunately.
Sucks.
I think resource guarding is a big one in situations like that.
Yeah.
Where like maybe I think resource guarding in dogs it really rears its ugly head a lot when a kid comes into play. You know, it's interesting to see it because maybe I've had a lot of situations where the adults have maybe not really noticed it.
There's so many more opportunities for it to happen.
Yes, so many more opportunities.
Yeah.
So that is one where I'm like, the rehoming chances of that are difficult because it's not the child per se. It's a behavior that is in the dog
it's
genetically
biological.
that will come out in one way or another, regardless of what's triggering it.
Yeah.
But
Even
knowing
if the
your
dog
breeds.
is like, even if the dog's like a golden retriever, like that can still happen.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
from a pit bull to golden retriever to anything, a chihuahua.
Yeah.
They can have resource guarding.
Yeah. And I think now that we're kind of going in that direction, like if you are someone who plans on having a family one day or has a family currently, deciding what breed of dog you bring into your home is so important. Because like we've been talking about, training can do a lot.
Yeah.
It cannot change
Genetics.
And beyond the breed, like getting a responsible breeder who is going to create a dog that is stable and predictable for you is so important as well. Like I am all for adopting dogs and shelters and rescues, but it is an undeniable
a
truth
gamble.
that you don't
Yeah.
know what you're getting.
There's so much back work that comes with rescuing a dog, because you don't know what you're getting, and you need to be prepared to put in the work for whatever this dog's coming at you with.
Exactly.
They've got baggage, they've got past experiences you don't know that we can't explain, but what what's being presented is something that you can work on, hopefully, and you have to be prepared when you do that to put in the time, sometimes money, to fix those things that they come with. When you go to a breeder, a nice breeder who is doing things that they should be doing and thinking of lines of genetics, you're more than likely going to get what you pay for and what you can expect out of that dog. So there is like a benefit or, planning that goes into getting a good bred dog.
You're not going to get surprises.
That's
No.
right.
You're not going to, and even puppies from rescues, like, again,
don't know
like,
what's back
you don't
there.
know what's in that thing. And unfortunately, you won't know until
And they don't
hit
know
sexual
either.
maturity.
Yeah.
And I think that, especially with certain breeds of dog, like when you get really intense breeds of dogs, I think for people that are novice dog owners or not as experienced, they really get fooled by these dogs in their prepubescent stages, because I have a ton of people with Rottweilers, Corsos, Pit Bulls, German Shepherds, Dobermans, and then they start training in adolescence because they're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And
They
I'm
were
like,
so good before.
what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
They are being who they are.
Yeah, like this is not, if you
Were
wanted
you
a
not
golden
prepared?
retriever, you should have gotten a golden retriever. Like, what do you mean?
Why are they so intense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let's
They
do
are.
a little Google. But yeah, I think that to me is such a big piece of it, because like, obviously having a child in my home, and then you guys as well, like I'm so picky about what type of genetics and instincts that I want to bring into it.
Yeah.
Because I have a very specific lifestyle that I like to live, and I know what dogs are going to fit into that and
Right.
which ones aren't.
And
And
keep
so,
up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate and support ethical breeders that are breeding to preserve the integrity of these breeds in a way that I think is just beautiful. And you unfortunately aren't going to find dogs like that in a shelter, because good breeders don't let their dogs go to the shelter.
Yeah.
So
They take 'em back.
you can get a very rare exception where you rescue a dog and you're like, wow, this is like the best dog I've ever had.
Yeah.
But like nowadays, that's really rare.
hard.
It's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really hard.
You have to nurture the dog that you want when
Yes.
you're in that kind of situation.
Yes.
Yes.
Because their genetics will take over, and
Yeah.
experiencing the shelter in that critical period or any time that they spend, that's stress and chaotic, no matter what you think it is.
Yeah.
And that makes a personality out of it.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
I have a lot of trash dogs that were literally found in the dumpster or rescues, but still they're Chihuahuas. They're not like trash dogs like a pit bull or Cane Corso that was abandoned.
Yeah.
So it's it's not as much risk to have them, but they're
Yes.
still very weird and strange.
And have
then
past experience
Yeah.
quirks.
Yeah.
yes, and then I got one dog from a breeder, and she's completely different than
Really?
my other dogs, and I'm in love with her, and she's perfect, and her temperament is just so different. It's
Really?
crazy.
That's cool.
So,
Snoop's sister.
Yes.
Our Chihuahuas are from the same woman.
Oh,
Yeah, and they're
yes.
just great.
I met
got
Snoop.
I
That's
got
fun to
Snoop,
have.
and she was like, "Where did you get him?"
Yes.
I need one of those.
Yeah,
Want one.
stable Chihuahua, like that's not like
It's a game changer.
shaking all the
They're
time.
so
Yeah.
cool. People should get more Chihuahuas, but
I
get them
know.
from a good place.
We want to get a little dog. Like Griffin's obviously, he's been raised around dogs his entire life. So he's really neutral to dogs. He doesn't get
Yeah.
excited or like care all too much, which is awesome. But he loves little dogs though. Like he gets a little
I'll
smitten.
tell
about a
you the
little
breeder
dog.
after
Yeah.
this.
Okay.
I don't blast her everywhere because
Yeah.
I gatekeep.
Yes.
You know,
That
who I
gatekeep
who I-
away.
Yes.
She
Gatekeep
makes
that away.
really good Chihuahuas. So.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But like you mentioned, I think that something that is controversial to talk about is that, sure, any dog breed can carry aggressive traits. You could argue that some of them are very off standard if they carry aggressive traits because they're not supposed to. But sure, if you get like a backyard bred Amish golden retriever, yeah, it could be aggressive in certain ways. But I think it's important to note that like there are just certain breeds that carry the traits and the intensity to do like
Specific.
irreparable damage
Yeah.
if they have the ability to act on those, versus breeds that like even at their most aggressive, they are not going to be like detrimental to society. Like a Chihuahua is very puntable. You can kick that thing and it's not going to kill you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So even the most aggressive, insane, which I've worked with a lot of them, Chihuahuas, I'm not like, oh no, I'm in fear for my life,
Yeah.
you know? Versus some of these bully breeds like can get extremely dangerous,
Yeah.
extremely fast. And again, it's nothing that people get so offended when you start talking about this. But my olive branch to the bully breed community is that I think you guys would have a lot more traction in advocating for your breed if you stopped trying to gaslight people
Into thinking they're not.
into,
Like, be honest if
into
it's not in
lying
your
about
wheelhouse.
reality.
Yeah.
Like these aren't fake situations. These aren't fake headlines. You know, these breeds aren't getting banned for no reason.
Things are
okay,
happening.
like things are happening.
It's all how you raise them.
It's not. And it's not. And it's so strange to me because that breed community, and again, I know many people in that breed community that aren't like this, okay? But a resounding voice of that breed community is so different from most other breed communities. Like you talk to anyone with a Belgian Malinois, they're gonna be like, don't get one.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
will ruin your life. Like these
It's not
dogs,
for you.
Yeah, these dogs are crazy. They're a lot. They can be dangerous. Like, don't do it.
Yeah.
But you talk with like pit bull people or bully breed people, and they're like, "Oh, they were nanny
But
dogs."
if you, if
and
you
they just
think
start
about
spewing all of this nonsense, and I'm like, guys, you're not helping your breed.
No, and the community for bully breeds is so large because they're so rampant.
That's
right?
true.
Like they're so overbred, backyard bred, all of that. So we're having like a big realm of demographic having these dogs
Yeah.
that have no, prior dog experience. And these dogs have genetics to go 0 to 100 quick.
Yes.
And we're putting them in all of these different situations where they have no, showing them how to act, to control that, impulse control that they don't have. And that's a genetic trait that made them the breed that they are.
Yes.
They were bred for thick jaws to bite.
For power.
To
and
do these-
destruction.
Yes, and they have the bodies for it. And, it is a shame that community isn't honest about what they're capable of doing. We're really putting like a soft, tender blanket over, a Tasmanian devil that is inside each and every one of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we call them pity parties. We always have one. Tom's a huge pit bull guy. We had Drax, and then we had Snow, and now we have Xena. So we'll always have a pity party. And they're just dogs that wouldn't do well not living with the trainer. Xena was an owner surrender from a client of ours, and we decided that either it was going to be behavioral euthanasia or we're going to figure out how to live with her. And that's what we're doing, is we're continuously figuring out how to live with her. And it's a balancing act because she is dog aggressive. So it's learning how to navigate her around and things like that. But it goes to say that they're very capable of unpredictability. So just don't get comfortable.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They're
That's how I
predictably
feel about them.
unpredictable.
That's how I feel
Yes.
about
Like,
them.
and they're incredible dogs.
Oh yeah, sweet
I
as
have
could be.
many friends and trainers that have them and that breed them, and they're incredible. But you even speak to them and they're like, oh yeah, I mean, like, you have a
There's
chihuahua,
times.
like, don't get one.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's just so they are who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a shame that we can't
Be honest.
see those traits. And I think it's a bigger problem of we view aggressive traits in dogs as bad. I think it's an overarching problem.
Yeah.
Where aggressive behaviors in dogs is not inherently evil or bad or
It's just a
negative.
dog being a
It's just a
dog.
dog being a dog.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
does it fit into your family life? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You just have to pick and choose then and be
love
honest
that.
about what behaviors they're exhibiting and be like, is that something I want to live with or not?
Right.
You know?
Like there's a reason that people, unfortunately and very unethically, have pit bulls fight and do pit bull fighting rings because it's so
Right.
entertaining.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they don't stop.
Yeah.
Right.
They
That's
keep
what
going.
they're good at. You know, that's what they're bred to do.
It's very unfortunate, like that is a sport and exists, but like it does exist, and they chose those breeds. Like,
For those reasons.
yeah.
And now we're having that in like the everyday home, and
Yeah.
we're like, why?
they're like, he was good before the kids came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Prey
kids just
drive is
added to that
very,
layer.
Very
Yes.
prey drive can be so volatile. And that's really, I mean, that's the root of that in those dogs. And I mean, even like with shepherds and like when any breed that has prey drive, things can go really south very fast.
Yeah,
if
'cause
you're
there's so
not
much you
careful
can't
with it.
control.
If you're not careful with it. And I think that's why so many children, you know, there's obviously other cases of adults getting mauled by dogs and things, but I think that's why so devastatingly it's children a lot of times, is because children behave like prey. And once that attack starts happening, they are not fighting back. They are making, I'm sure, so many noises that stimulate the prey instinct. And so I think that that is something that is overlooked, is that a lot of these dogs who maul a child or an infant, maybe they're not human aggressive, but their prey drive is just so intense that a screaming child or something like that can trigger it, you know? And once they drift into
Yes.
prey,
That land.
it's very, very devastating and difficult.
They're animals, and they turn into animals, and it's
Yeah.
not your sweet little pibble anymore. And people are so shocked how they can act that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's an animal.
Yeah.
We have to acknowledge, like, and respect the pit bull as an animal.
Yeah.
Would you explain that, like, to a person, like their layered model of stress? And we use that a lot. We can use training to like keep that down. Is
Yeah.
that how you would approach that? Because prey drive's an innate behavior.
Yes.
It's not something we can necessarily suppress all the way,
No.
right? And there's so much we can't control.
And I think that becomes more dangerous.
Right.
If you think you can.
Right? Like you're living in la la land on that, and you're waiting for the inevitable, thinking that way. So there are things like with specific dogs and specific dog breeds that we can do to keep that lowered, so that when, you know, shit pops off, that dog is like not already on the tips of its toes trying to bite somebody.
Yes.
A lot of the times we tell people, like, as much as you hate it, play tug with your pit bull before you go for a walk. Like, try it a couple times. You're going to have 100% different kind of walk. And I don't know. I just wondered if that was like the same kind of philosophy you're looking at it, coming from like prey drive being an innate thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very much a proponent of, you will never, like, when, you know, people get breeds that have really intense like drive or things like that maybe they weren't expecting or prepared for.
Right.
But here it is. It's yours now. You've got to do something with it.
You can't make it go away.
You
I'm
can't
sorry.
make it go
There's
away.
no magic
it
trick.
ain't going away. I always talk to people that, like, it's there and it's going to come out at some point, and you need to know how to control it, and you need to teach them how to control it. You need to do activities with your dog and structured things with your dog that piques that arousal, that sends them into that state, and then you need to teach them how to de-escalate
Yes.
and come back
and to
down.
stop it. And
Because I think so stereotypically, a lot of terrier breeds that come in, and even like I have a Lakeland terrier that I'm working with right now. This fun little, I love him to death. He came in and he was like on fucking crack cocaine, okay, on his first
I know
lesson.
that type.
And she's like, what do I do? And he's just like, whoa, just like Scooby-Dooing across the floor. And so God bless him. And so again, you know, I'm not even talking about a bully breed anymore, but just that terrier type of like drive. You have to be able to cap that, but you're only going to cap it if you give them areas fairly to experience it and to play with it. And so it's so fun seeing him now because like he's a totally different dog. Like he can come in, he can kind of like dial his brain down a little bit. And then as soon as we let him, he goes right into that terrier mode. You know what I mean? And he's having the time of his life, but now he has control over it.
Yeah.
You know, because we've taught him how to be harmonious in that.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of trainers that when they see really intense behaviors like that, they really just try to suppress it
Yes.
and stop it and stop it and stop it. And I think that's
And it
where
comes out one day.
that is a valid critique, I would say, from the force-free community a lot of times on some balanced trainers, is that it's very heavy suppression. And I'm of the mind that like there are times where I want to heavily suppress the behavior in one area, but I will let you do it in this other area.
Yeah, feel the different
Context.
feelings. I think that was what
Yes.
was important that you said about the terrier. Is that he can come in and dial in and feel that feeling and know where to put it.
Yes.
And then we can let him go be a terrier and do terrier things, because that's all we're seeing in those moments where it's like,
Yeah.
this is chaotic and not where you should be putting that.
Yeah.
Like reactivity, things like that. Help them feel those different feelings and have the understanding of like when we should open up to those feelings.
Where
I
is
think
this
that's-
appropriate?
Where is it appropriate? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where can we act that way? And it's such an important conversation to have when it comes to kids, because
Yes.
we're training, intellectual beings. We're helping them learn how to think through these different scenarios where this child is uncontrollable. I need you to understand what to do when and have that like control of those different feelings.
Yes.
It's just wrap it up on that,
Yes.
because it is a skill.
Yeah, I mean, you have these dogs that like are bred to like chase, grab, kill. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that, to put it bluntly. That's
And
what
dogs
they
are doing
wanna
that
do.
24/7, chase, grab, kill, chase, grab, kill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we
that's
need to
why
be
they
like,
like the ball.
chill.
And
Yeah,
like
so
they're
they
destroying
roll,
toys.
They like tug. They like, you know, it's so funny to see people's faces when you explain that like their dog likes a squeaky toy because it mimics an animal dying.
And they're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
They're like devastated.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, he's a killer. I'm like, yeah.
He's
You
a
got,
murderer,
like, a
man.
Trash pit bull from the rescue. What'd you think? What'd you
Yeah.
think?
He's
you
taking
got?
it all out on that thing.
Yeah, like I love him, but yeah, he's a killer. That's like what they're. Yeah.
And the instinct, like, have you ever seen Snoop, like, like
Yes.
shake something? The instinct
Get it.
is
Yes.
like the small dogs and the big dogs.
Yes.
And of course, the Chihuahuas don't have the same, like, ferocity with that, but
Yeah.
like,
They can.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
it's just like when you're like seeing them shake it, you're like, you're 6 pounds.
Yes.
Get it.
Yes.
Are you mimicking killing a rat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, like,
literally.
Even Icarus, like she has snatched birds out of the sky.
How old is she?
She's gonna be a year in
I
January.
was gonna say she's a
Yeah,
baby.
and so
Crazy.
like, yeah, it's nuts. Blue jay, straight out of the sky.
That's mine.
Yeah, and then she was proceeded to get attacked by the family of that said
Yeah.
blue jay,
They're
because
no
you know how
joke.
they
Consequences.
are. Yeah,
Yeah,
but she was like gang fight. I'm in it. Like
Yeah.
she was, she loved
Let's
it.
take the birds
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
kills the whole family.
And so it's like that level of prey drive like is not going to go away. And mind you, she lives with a Chihuahua, so that's something that I had to take like very
Yeah.
seriously. And so again, I have allowed it to be suppressed in certain areas, but then in other areas, I'm like, let's let you explore
Get that blue
this
jay.
like in a healthy way. And I think because I think if you don't allow them to explore it at all, you just have a ticking time bomb on your hands, you know, where it's going to
Yeah.
come out at some point.
For Birdie, you can literally see it like building.
Yes.
Like she's literally, I've never lived with a GSP. Like I've experienced them training, but not like this.
Yeah, they're nuts.
And I'm just like, all right, let's go run. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And they feel
I could
so
never.
good. Like,
yeah. And then she's a whole like sloppy, just,
yeah,
you know,
after she is
she
fulfilled.
does it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it.
It's like the
she
way
goes,
can
she goes, gets off.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
describing it as like when that feeling when you have too much caffeine, like if you've ever had when you're just way too amped and then
Yeah.
something startles you and
Yeah.
you're so on edge.
Yeah.
I think that's what it feels like to be those dogs without exercise or without an outlet, is they
Yeah.
just feel like so tense, and then
The slightest thing.
yeah,
will
if somebody
trigger them.
scares you or somebody does something you don't like, you're like snapping at them. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
think
no way to be.
No, it's not. And that's where I think that's what I have been most passionate about lately, is just trying to communicate to people, like, get a dog that you know is going to complement your life, and it will make everything so much easier.
Play with your dog.
There's a
Yes.
reason that golden retrievers and labs are great family dogs stereotypically, and that's
Yeah.
because they are.
Yeah.
They usually really,
They'll
really
fit in
are.
like the typical lifestyle. You
Yes.
walk them once a day, you hang out with them, you
Yeah.
give them attention, and they're good. That's what they thrive for.
Yes.
Is that companionship. That's why they do well in that kind of situation. And
Yep.
we just have to think about these things. That's all.
Well, guys,
Yeah.
what other thoughts do we have? Is there anything else, Bridget, that you had that you were thinking of bringing up?
I don't think so. I think like just the balance of becoming a mom and
Yeah.
like I know you have yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, in the studio there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you guys say the steps of what you did with having a child and dog be introduced,
Yeah.
and just go through kind of like the post-giving period.
Yeah.
The steps and everything people should be doing when they're bringing in a baby, a child in the house.
That's a good point.
That is a good point.
Yeah, I think for me, what was important was like during my pregnancy, getting the bed stay down and those
Yeah.
commands down, and having a trained dog.
Yeah, like brushing up on it. I think that was the
Yes.
biggest thing for us, is like, okay, well, we got to tighten some things up here.
Yes,
You know?
because you're used to like your life as two adults with the dog, and you
Right.
can like let behaviors go there because it's like it's just not really bothering anybody.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a trained dog, I highly recommend during your pregnancy investing or training your dog yourself and
Yeah.
doing research.
And doing little things
Yeah.
too. Like, you don't have to go through a whole board and train to make your life easier, especially if you already have like a good relationship with your dog. There are little things that you can do. I will say, newborn stage is pretty chill.
Yes,
I mean,
it
there's
is
a
very
lot
chill.
of hanging out and sleeping, and just enjoy that so
Yeah.
much for you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, when they start being able to open doors, when
When there's any movement,
Children
children are
autonomous
running,
movement.
Yeah.
Dorothy's starting to crawl. Autonomous movement, man. Yeah. There are things you can train and help your dog understand to make that part of parenthood easier. Waiting at doors. I don't know if you haven't crate trained your dog, just try it.
That is like
definitely
That
get
is
on it.
everything-
Non-negotiable.
Give
yeah.
them a break in that crate.
You can't have kids and not have a crate trained dog. Like that just doesn't work.
You just
Yeah.
shouldn't.
And it's okay. Like in the post I made, it's okay to crate them. Like if you're having one of those days where you're like, I got to pump, I got to do all of this, I got to take the kids here and there and there. And you're just like, I can't with the dogs today.
Yeah.
Like I will still care for you and give you
That's okay
things. But we might have a day where you're just going to sleep a lot.
though. Yeah.
And I can put you in the crate without like feeling guilty about it.
I tell people 16 to 18 hours in a 24-hour period is nothing wrong with that. It's very
Yes.
healthy for their nervous system and their brain to
calm
have
down.
that. Fast them on that day, because they're not going to do anything, and you're doing great stuff for their, gut health and all that jazz. So, just because they're not doing much on your busiest days, you're still doing huge things for them as their caretaker and nurturer.
Yes, yeah. You need to meet their needs. And not every day can look like they're going to be in their crate all day. You have to find out some kind of balance when the baby's sleeping and you feel like you have the energy to do so, or your partner can go take the dogs out. Something where
Yeah.
we're incorporating that they're still part of your life and they still deserve care.
Yeah.
but
And
some
don't
days
feel-
no.
Fulfillment.
Yeah, and don't feel so pigeonholed into like what you think their
Yeah.
enrichment should look like.
Yes.
Right.
Like,
Throwing
I-
treats from the couch is
yeah,
fun.
but give them like a little, like a new toy with food in it, or do a little training session. Teach them a new trick while you sit on the couch.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different things you can do for a dog that enriches them.
Working
that-
them for their food is a huge
Yeah, it doesn't
one we
have to be
do.
this whole production of walking around the neighborhood like you typically would have done.
Or like a 45-minute walk and 10-minute ball session, and it doesn't have to look like that. It can change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually great for it to change.
Yes.
Like if you're used to taking that 3-mile walk, try something else.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not going for that
Yeah,
damn
something
walk,
novel
the
to
same
them.
thing. Yeah, the same thing every day.
Yeah. I
So.
think the reason why we haven't touched on like what to do when you bring home a baby is because I would imagine, okay, I'm not sure if you appeal to the same technique, but like I don't really want my clients to do anything. Like
Yeah.
I don't want
Like
you
the
to
introduce
introduce
you.
like
There's
Yeah.
no
Like,
introduction.
there's no
for
Here's
me.
the baby.
introduction, there's no-
Shake its hand.
Yeah.
Lick it.
I
let's
would
get used
rather
to
the dog
it.
just be completely neutral
Yes.
to
Oh,
the
this thing
situation.
is here, and if you react to it, I'm going to set boundaries
Right.
with you.
Yes.
But it's like a slow introduction where the baby's like sleeping,
Yeah.
and then it's in the dog's space. That's when you do your bed stay. That's when
Yeah.
you are kind of away from me.
Yeah, and I don't allow high energy interactions
No.
with
Right.
children.
On leash.
Like I described, like any high energy interaction from my dog it should be like if they're playing, it's with a toy. Like my child or a child should never be the toy to a dog. Like I will roughhouse with my dogs quite often, and I'm the toy in that moment. Like we are playing, we're roughhousing, they're biting me, whatever. I would never let a child do that with a dog. And I think that a common trap people fall into is like, well, they love to chase each other around the yard and stuff like that. Like, absolutely
Makes
not.
me too nervous,
I will not
yeah.
be doing that. And my stepson at this point, him being 13, and I think this is so individual to knowing your own child's maturity level too. But like at this point, like I would say within the last year or so, I've allowed him to start, like, he can roughhouse with the dogs if he wants to. But the dogs have been taught very clear parameters of what that's supposed to look like. They are never allowed to initiate rough play. If we want to roughhouse with the dogs, then we usually say, like, are you ready? And then they know, like, oh,
they're
my
like,
gosh, it's happening. And then
There's a signal here.
Exactly, the signal. And then we play with them, and then we say, all done. And then they're like, cool. And then they turn off, and they go do something else,
Yeah.
and they know it's over. And
you have
so,
control.
yes, you have to control it. And
Yeah.
then, but I've also, when my stepson wanted to start doing that, I was like, as soon as you say, are you ready? And you start roughhousing with this dog, you are signing a contract that they can treat you like another animal when they play with you. So if you push on them and they bite you, playfully, and, all this kind of stuff, like, you can't come screaming and crying to me that, like, oh, no, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you are agreeing in that moment.
Tom calls it an operational or
Yes.
occupational hazard.
Exactly.
Like we went to work, and that's the occupational hazard of doing it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that is part of knowing the maturity level,
Yeah.
of the child and everything too. But I think that's what's important, is having very clear parameters of how the children and the dogs are supposed to interact with each other. Again, my rules are: don't mess with the dog if they have food, toys, or a bone. Don't hug them. Don't put your face in their face. And then making sure the dog interacts with the child in a very calm, low energy way is kind of
Yes.
my basic guidelines.
And changing habits too
Yeah.
with the dog, like getting on the couch. Like we recently took the dog stairs away from the couch, and our chihuahuas
Yeah.
are like,
Mind
what the
blown.
heck? Like, and like, it's not your couch anymore. I tell you off, you have to get off. You're allowed on it when the baby's sleeping, and I can like invite you on, and they can
Yeah.
understand context.
Yeah.
But when the baby's on the couch and we're feeding, you're not going to be on the couch with me.
Or
We're
like
not sharing
moving
space.
around on the couch. That's what our
Yes.
big rule with our dogs is, like, if we invite you up, you're to come up and lay down next to us. It's not
Yeah.
like
not look out the window,
move
not
around.
pace around.
Yeah.
Yeah. The couch is not for like activities.
no, it's
You
for
come up here and
relaxing.
you
It's a
rest.
privilege
Yes.
that you can give to your dog if you choose to give them that privilege.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll never understand couch surfing dogs. I'm like, why are we letting that happen? That's
Yeah.
not what the couch is for.
They're just parkouring off of the
Yeah.
back of it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not there yet, like put a leash on your dog and show them.
That's a good point.
What, because that's a lot of like, we'll talk about what you should do, but how do we get there and doing it? Even with a trained dog, some people are still, you know, jumping up, jumping down, jumping around. You know, if you need to go back and put a leash on the dog to show them what the definition of the behavior you're looking for is, go back and do it. Sometimes the e-collar isn't enough. We need to guide and show and say, this is it, and then do it 4 times,
Yeah.
and then be done.
Yeah.
And then the next time you invite them up, they're going to have context to what you expected, especially while you're like holding a baby or like wrestling a toddler. Like Zeta can get up on the couch while Griffin's, you know, running around, but she knows to get up on the couch and lay down and be still.
Yeah.
Right? So just give them context to it.
Yeah.
And I think now that we're talking about this, it may be useful to talk about, so maybe you have a baby, and like we talked about, the infant stage is quite easy because like you are completely in control of where the baby is and where it's going.
Yeah.
As soon as they start like crawling or making weird noises and like moving around, and maybe you have a dog who's like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like, what is
What is
That was
Yeah.
Sasha all day. It was so funny in the
Yeah.
faces. She's like, why is this
like not
moving?
overtly concerning, but like you're also like, oh, I could see like weirdness happening.
there is
you're
weirdness.
like there's
uncomfortable.
weirdness, you're uncomfortable, you don't like this.
Yeah.
Maybe some growling at like what's that thing doing over there.
Yeah.
I had a number of clients recently with that, and like some steps that I've taken with them is that we'll do some, obviously we do like heavy supervision. You know, if you are not able to monitor the interactions, the dog goes in a crate somewhere. And then if the dog is out, we'll do very intentional, like desensitizing and counter conditioning stuff where the baby starts moving and the dog's like, what is that? And then you throw food at them and they're like, oh, okay, some cheese. This is great. So every time the baby does something weird, I get cheese. Fantastic.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
and
just
you can
letting off those good feeling
Yes.
dopamine
Exactly.
vibes in
So
the
you can do a
brain.
lot of counter conditioning with that. And then typically the only way that I would add in corrections in situations like that is, I'm not a huge like correct the dog every time it growls type of thing.
No, it's communication.
Yeah, it's good communication. And also, but I also do want to clarify, I'm also not a person who thinks that if you correct for growling, then they'll skip growling and just go right to biting. I think that's a load of nonsense. I think it has a lot to do with the intention behind the growl. The intention behind the growl is whether I correct for a growl or not.
Yeah.
If the growl is disconnected and uncomfortable,
Walking away.
then you can growl. That's fine. That is you saying, I'm uncomfortable and I am attempting to disengage from what is making me
Right.
uncomfortable. If the growling is also paired with very like
Intention.
forward
Yeah.
body language, staring, and the growl is basically, I'm not trying to leave, I want you to leave. That is the difference
Yeah.
to me. That is a growl that I'm going to correct.
Yeah, like I'm not backing down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Something
so-
that makes you like weirdly uncomfortable. You have to read that body language and know like that's
Yeah.
what that is.
Yes. And so in that moment, correcting for that growl is not going to remove the dog's ability to growl and then eventually just bite one day. You're correcting the dog and saying, hey, if you are uncomfortable, you need to get up and leave.
Right.
Because the child is not doing anything to you right,
Right.
now.
Yeah.
And that is how I teach it, is I give a correction and then I guide the dog away.
Right.
I say, you are not allowed to do that. Also, get out of here.
Right.
Get up and go somewhere else.
If it's making you so uncomfortable, go.
Yes, yes. And I think that, again, that is in a concept of where the dog could get up and leave and is choosing not to. Obviously, I'm not just going to let a child climb on top of the dog and be like, why didn't you just get up and leave? Like,
Right.
that's common sense, obviously. I hope we're looking at this through that lens. But that was I would say the largest piece of the puzzle behavior-wise that I did with Lumos and my stepson was, once I got to the point where I was trying to have them coexist a little bit more. My dog was wearing his muzzle anytime he was out. And as my stepson would move around the house in the main living space, I would use negative reinforcement from the e-collar to create a force field that
Yes.
anywhere my stepson went, if my dog was there, he had to leave.
Bubble.
Yes, he had to leave and yield to that.
We talk about a bubble a lot.
Yeah.
You can create a bubble with the e-collar, and that's you creating respect for your child
Yes.
with the dog through something that they understand already.
Yep.
When they feel that feeling, they need to move.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the feeling is around the kid.
Yes, and that I think was something really important for my dog in particular, because again, in him, he's a very forward, confident dog. So he is very much I tell everybody else what to do.
Oh, I love a guy like that. A guy I
And
need of.
yeah, and so for him, that was very important for me to realize, for him to realize that, like, not this one.
Yeah.
You know, you have to vacate and you have to yield to
him.
his spatial pressure. That's not going to happen.
Because your son's not going to teach him that.
Exactly.
He's not going to be able to show him, like, you have to move away from me.
Exactly. And they shouldn't have to. You know,
That's our
that is
job.
not a position that a child should be in where they have to do that with a dog.
Yeah.
And with that, my dog particularly, that would have been dangerous. You know, I mean, as far
For
as
him
that
to
goes.
step to him that way.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did not have a relationship where, I mean, still to this day, if you're not me, my husband, and maybe, honestly, that might just be it. You can't correct that dog. He's
Right.
not going to take it.
Right.
He's going to be
There's
like,
a lot of dogs out
"Who?"
there like that too. You
Yeah.
know,
Who do
they
you
have
think
that
you are?
relationship with their owner.
Yeah, yeah. And so I like, even I think the last time Lumos was here, he was in the office with Kayla, and she was sitting at her desk, and he like came up and he like put his paws up on her lap and he like looked at her right in the face, and she's like, and I just sat there.
I wasn't quite sure what
She's
he wanted.
like, I didn't really know what I should do.
Yeah.
She's like, and then he gave me the weirdest lick and then just got down and walked away.
He's a confident guy.
Yeah.
He is. He gets a rush out of like making people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
I know a Rottweiler like that.
Yeah.
We don't get along.
I see, my toxic trait is that, we've talked about this before on the podcast, that I love a dog who loves me and hates everybody else.
Yeah.
That's why I have shepherds and chihuahuas.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my toxic trait. But that, going back to the steps of with children, that I think was a big piece for, if you have a dog who's weirded out by the kid, doesn't really like them, creating a situation where they just live mutually, respectfully,
For a
and
long
don't
time.
put an emphasis on like them being friends.
Yeah. And that could go away once they build a relationship and have respect for each other.
Like I said, him and my stepson are friends now.
Right.
Yeah.
And have understanding, and they can incorporate, but it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes that takes 3 months. Sometimes that takes 6
work.
months. Sometimes that takes years.
It took years.
So it's
took
it's
years.
It doesn't, and that's a dog trainer speaking.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's not something you can expect to happen right away.
It's like how you live with your dog and your child is so important, crucial to the success of being able to keep the dog. And like you're always going to keep your kid. You're not going to be like, all right, you got to go up for adoption. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, you might, but
Grandma's taking you for life now.
yes,
So.
you're just going to live there. It's just like making it work through working on it. It's not just going to magically get better. Yeah. And that's where a lot of people are so stressed. Or a lot of women are very overwhelmed by
I
everything.
want it to happen
Yes.
like right away.
Yeah.
Which I get.
Yeah.
I want that relief, as soon as possible. But it's little things and management and being, realistic with where you're at. We're not there yet.
Yep.
So there's more crate time. We're not there yet,
Yes.
so there's more bed stays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's totally okay.
Better to overdo it than
Yes.
underdo it. Well, and like I just did an in-home lesson with one of my clients that the whole reason they started training was because their baby was starting to get mobile and their dog was like doing one of those things. So we did a lot of those different steps, and then I just was at their house. Ironically, for something completely unrelated, it was for a social interaction between their dog and their father-in-law's dog. And because the baby stuff has gotten pretty just inconsequential, like it's not even really a concern anymore. But what I thought was cool was when we were in their house and we're all just hanging out, the dog was laying on the couch just resting, and the baby toddled over and was like going towards where the couch was with the dog, and it was so cool to see, because my client, like, just naturally, she was like, oh, Mia, watch out. And Mia just got up and moved to a different part of the couch and laid down.
Good.
And then, you know, the baby was hanging out and then ended up going that way. And she was like, oh, Mia, watch out. And then Mia got up and moved somewhere. And so it's like, it was refreshing and like very encouraging to see that, like, oh, this has worked for them.
Yeah,
obviously.
they found a way to navigate it.
Yeah, and a way to help their dog and then allow their child to still be a child.
That's cool.
and stuff like that. And it was funny because I pointed out to her, I was like, look at that. And she was like, it's just like so like second nature now, you know, at this point and stuff. And
That's cool.
It was just very cool to see that like the whole reason they started training was like not even a concern anymore, you know, because they were able to work through some of that stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just don't know what to do. They'll
Yeah.
do it. They just don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Okay.
Okay. Any last thoughts?
You can do it.
Yeah. You can
You're
do
doing
it.
great.
You are doing great.
You're
Doing great. If you're listening to this as a mother that's like, oh, the dog, like you are doing great and you're
Yeah.
trying, and that's all we can ask of you. And it will get better.
Yes.
If you're in the trenches, I promise
Everything's
you it's going to get
temporary.
better. You're probably sleep deprived.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Go-
that's okay.
Go eat something,
something.
take a shower, and take a nap.
Yes.
If you can.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you will someday.
Yeah.
Okay.
The time is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming.
No,
Yeah,
thank
thanks
you.
for
Yeah,
joining
thanks for
us.
having me.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten out much, so this was
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah. I think it was a really good conversation.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. See you later.
Bye.